Good morning, everyone. It is the start of a beautiful, super hot day again here in Northeast Louisiana. Oh, it's been about a month since I have the little SL on the road. I have put about 100 miles on it, and just driving it around the neighborhood, driving it around. The longest I've driven it in one stretch has been about 15 miles round trip. I'm still working all the kinks out of it. As you can see, it's looking still very nice, really good. It is extremely comfortable. It rides very well. I really enjoy the ride. And also the rigidity of the structure that Mercedes used to build this car. It is, for a convertible, it is really, really tight. Now, as I've been driving it, and there is my 67 Beetle sitting right next to it in the garage. My 85 380 SE is back up at my shop and parked in the shop there. I brought this one home because I wanted to shake it down. I do have some issues. And we're gonna go up under the car here in just a minute and take a quick peek to see what is going on. It starts very well. Every time I drive it, it starts and runs and drives and idles just a little bit better each time. And they just don't like to sit. They were meant to be driven. But every couple of days, I'm popping the hood, checking underneath the hood to make sure that there's nothing leaking, checking the oil, checking brake fluid. When I come home after driving, I always take out my little digital thermometer, which is right here. And I believe I bought this at Harbor Freight, and it really works well. I will go around the vehicle and I will check the temperatures of the front and rear wheels on each side to make sure they're all about the same, and they are, which means that no brakes are dragging, no calipers are sticking, wheel bearings are okay, and I just love this little thing. Oh my gosh, let's see what the temperature is out here in the garage. It is 84.5 at 85.1 maximum, and it is only 8 o'clock in the morning. It's gonna be 104 today. I also use this on all my hoses, and I check the temperatures between left and right valve covers. It's amazing what a little temperature gauge like this can tell you about how a car is driving and running. I highly recommend one. I use it all the time. She's still shining very nicely. Not too many bugs on it. I am getting a little bit of brake dust now down on the chrome bunk wheels because of driving and breaking in the new pads and the new rotors. It's just I think, an amazing little car. But we do have some issues, and we'll take a peek up under the car here in a second and see if you can see what I see. Okay, here we are looking under the car, which is parked in the same spot here in the garage all the time. I really see no oil leaking, no coolant leaking up at the front of the motor, but here is some coolant right there that after each drive kind of finds its way down right up under the car. And what is this thing hanging down here? Do you see that? It looks like a snake. Looks like a turd. Actually, what that is, it also shows the coolant that is leaking. But that is a piece of tape. Someone previously changed the oxygen sensor out and didn't use heat shrink. They wrapped it in electrical tape. When it gets hot, this is what happens to electrical tape. It just kind of hangs down there. The coolant, this is the strange thing. I can look under the hood and I find no coolant whatsoever. All the hoses appear to be fine, but it drips right down up under here. And what is directly up above that is either the drains for the heater box or possibly the connection between the heater hoses and the heater core itself. So I looked at the hoses under the hood and they looked okay, and we're gonna pop the hood here and take a peek. Okay, we've got the hood open. That cover there is covering up my heater blower motor. That hose you are looking at right there is a heater hose which goes through up under here to connect to the heater core. And this looks okay to me here. I see nothing leaking here. It might be leaking under the cover here where it's connected to the heater core itself. That's the only place that I can smell coolant when I'm in there and it's hot. The other side, we'll walk around and take a look at it. I have not lost any coolant in my coolant reservoir. This is the passenger side, and here we have the mono valve with hose going into the other side, coming out of the heater core right there. And then this here is the auxiliary water pump, which then comes right up to the back of the intake manifold, to the block there. That's all as dry as can be. Nothing leaking there. So, this is going back to the shop, and we're gonna put it up on ramps, and we're gonna start taking things apart and taking a look and see what is going on here. I have my suspicions that either A, the connection at that heater hose on the driver's side is loose or leaking at the heater core connection, or worst thing, my heater core is leaking and filling up the heater core and evaporator box and dripping out the drain holes normally for your water for your air conditioning drain. Not really sure. But to play it safe, I went ahead. All these hoses are all original, 1982. I am going to take it all apart, see where it's leaking, and of course I will post that and show you what it eventually is. And then I'm going to replace every hose, and I'm going to replace the insert in the mono valve. And I'm also, while I'm at it, since I will be draining coolant, I am going to remove and replace the temperature sensor which sits right down in here for the fuel injection. Lets the fuel injection computer know if the engine is cold or warm. And I'm going to replace that too, only because it is original from 1982 and I have a brand new one, and while I'm at it, I'm going to do it. Here we are looking inside the engine compartment, and this is one of the things that I just did. I'm going to need some new hose connectors here. We have 3 vacuums that come off of the intake manifold. One with the white hose, goes to your economy gauge. My economy gauge does not work. Second one with the yellow goes to all the door locks, the trunk lock and the fuel door lock. It was very lazy. I took tie wraps and you can see I just tightened it around there. These little vacuum valves, they work, they're fine. I have great door locks and the trunk locks and also the fuel door. And then the other one here is the 2 red lines. That goes to my climate control system. And I believe I've got a little leak in some of these, and I'll bet you that when I pull out the instrument cluster, which I'm going to do, this may be not connected to my economy gauge. That's one of the things also that I've just noticed in the last 100 miles of driving. In fact, what I'm going to do to show you is listen. Did you hear that? Doors are locked. Trunk is locked. Fuel door is locked. Passenger door is locked. I can reach in, pull the little lever, and come around. And this has not been driven since yesterday, so we'll see. And everything unlocks. So I'm pleased about that. It's all shakedown stuff. Oh, there are parts in the trunk. This is for the hoses and everything that I just bought. And also another oil filter. And the fuel door now opens. And so that's good. Other things that I will do when I get it to the shop, besides checking the coolant and those hoses, heater hoses, to see what is leaking, I am going to replace the rubber diaphragm little cover on the back of the vacuum control valve on the transmission. That is dry rotted and it is leaking, and when it does leak, it can cause some weird shifting issues. I am finding that the harder I drive the car, the better the transmission shifts. But when I'm driving slowly with just a little bit of acceleration, she'll slip sometimes between 2 and 3. Third into fourth, it does not. So I'm hoping that this is just, it hasn't driven in so long, and also that vacuum control valve is leaking vacuum. Now, I have, when I had it in the shop, getting things ready, excuse me, I did change the oil in the filter, and I am using a 15W40. I believe I have Shell Rotella in here, diesel, because I think it's a great oil. And I have a half a quart. I've filled it a half a quart low, and then put a half a quart of Marvel Mystery Oil in. We'll look down in there, and that's good. I do have plans in the future of pulling the valve covers off and changing my cam oiler tubes. I have all that at the shop waiting, brand new also. I think it's doing really well. Cruise control does not work. I'll let you know that does not work. Everything else seems to, except though I know the air conditioning doesn't work. I've never even checked if I have Freon in this thing. But no, I'm not leaking any brake fluid. Just that little bit of coolant coming down. I hope it is not a heater core that is leaking. I've got my fingers crossed on that. I don't plan on driving it really in the winter when it's cold. I'm gonna have to make a decision if it is the heater core that's leaking, what I'm gonna do. But anyway, this was just a little update. The next time I will be on here, this Benz will be back in my shop, and my 380 SE will be back home, and it'll be up on ramps, and we will look inside and see where is the coolant coming from. And I thank you for watching, and have a great day.